Hi guys, my name is Mara. Most of you already know me. At least we already talked before. As you know, today is going to be a big day. It's going to be a webinar day, and me and my colleagues, we're going to be sharing the preliminary results of the global benchmark. I'm going to be talking about the African region and about the findings and the results that we have so far. I really hope you find this useful for you, and again, thanks for joining, and I'll be open for questions in the end. Again, thanks for joining me. I hope you can hear me. As I said before, today this is a big day. Me and my colleagues, we are talking about the preliminary results of the global benchmark of 2015. As you know, I'm going to be talking about the African region, and I'm going to jump into it and talk about the agenda for today. So we're going to start. So a lot of you already know what is UBI Global and what we do. But in case there's new comers out there, we're going to be talking about a little bit about the company overview. Then we're going to be talking about the process of the benchmark. How do we do it? We're going to be sharing with you some findings and some results regarding the African region, benefits of doing the global benchmark, and next steps ahead. Since we are actually at UBI, we are working really hard to get a lot of things done and fixed throughout for the rest of the year. So I think this is going to be exciting. And then in the end, we're going to have the question and answer session where you guys are more than welcome to ask any questions you might have. Okay, so company overview. As most of you guys know, so UBI is a for-profit company. We actually we started out from a master thesis project from Gothenburg, from Kalmar's School of Entrepreneurship project in 2012 from this guy here, Joel. So he was the first and the first founder of the company. And what Joel wanted to figure out was what is a successful business incubator, and what does it mean, and how do you measure that success? So along this journey, he found other founders to help him out, and they found this project quite interesting. So together, so we have 4 founders today. And we have created then this company called UBI Index, which was once upon a time. So we changed our name. So right now our name is UBI Global. And what we do at UBI Global? So we assess business incubators. We do a benchmark, and we are able to and with and we were able to evolve a little bit from that, and from the demand of you guys, actually, we are starting to share our network. And we call ourselves on our slogan is incubation, impact, and network. And we're gonna talk about that what network means later on. Just so you know, behind of all of this, behind of the benchmark and all of this process, we have quite a big operations team to make this possible. We have, so we don't have actually here all the pictures, but just now in the house we speak around 11 languages as per today. English is our main language, though we, as same thing as you, guys, we have the same challenges, cultural challenges and language barriers. This is the reason why we need to have such a broader team to take care of it. Beside that, we have a board of experts helping us to make sure we are on the right path. So we have quite some people from different sectors and different areas to help us to make sure that we are going on the right path. I really like this slide. Um, because this slide kind of summarizes the work that we have been doing for the past 3 years. Um, and I want to explain what this means to us. So we put yourselves here in the middle, the university business incubators. Um, because you guys, you are the ones that we want to help. But we also understand that a business incubator is not a single entity, it's part of an ecosystem. And that ecosystem, as we see it, it consists of government, investment community, the corporations, and of course the startup entrepreneurs, some trade associations, and of course university and research institutes. Um, our main focus, though, is you in the middle, but we work with the whole ecosystem. So we help governments for them. For example, in the Swedish case, we work with Vinnova, and this is for them to understand the how or why of business incubation at a government level. We work with the investment community. Um, for example, we are working at the moment with Islamic Development Bank. They are one of our sponsors later in the fall to do the Middle East and North Africa ranking called the MENA ranking. We work with corporations. We work close with CISCO. I'm going to talk about that for you to get a sense of what we do. We work with associations with NBIA. Actually, our relationship with them is actually growing quite fast. So I'm pretty sure for the next years to come, we're going to be working more and more close with them. And in the end, of course, we work with the universities as well. So one of the things that we are extremely happy about is that we found a really good company to work with. Um, and this company is CISCO. Yeah, so CISCO came to us early this year, and after they have said they have seen your results from your incubators, they came up to us and they said something like, "Hey guys, we really like what you're doing, and we have this CSR program, this corporate social responsibility program going on, and we would like to increase the awareness of social innovation and truly believe in business incubation as a concept, and we like the university aspect of it." So we put our minds together and decided to create the benchmark for business incubators for social innovation / impact focus. Kind of the holy grail, how do you measure social impact? It's what we're trying to figure out, and the first pilot project actually has been started now this spring and is focused in the US mainly. I don't want to tell much more about that, but you can read more in our website www.ubi-global.com/social. And the idea is actually to expand this project to a global benchmark in the years to come. Okay, let's talk about the benchmark process. So everything that we do has its base in research, and that research has helped compiled a framework that we use to assess you guys, which we are using in our survey and benchmark, and of course, how we present things. And this framework consists of three categories: the value for ecosystem, a value for clients, and attractiveness. And themselves consist in 7 subcategories, and under them we have 66 KPIs that we measure you. All the survey, all the questions, it's kind of based on this framework. I'm sure that you have heard or you recognize a lot of these terms from the surveys that you have been filling in. I'm not gonna dig deep into that because that's a webinar in itself, but that's good for you to know that there's a framework behind it that we have developed over the last 3 years. So the process, as we see it in 5 key steps. Um, so basically, the only thing that you see is basically this one, the first one here. But so we have 5 steps after, 4 steps in this case after. So the first step, we collect the data. As we guys already been familiar of, and do an assessment call, we make you apply, then we send you a survey. When the survey is in, all the data is in. Using statistical methods, we clean the data, treat it, and normalize it. I'll talk about normalization a little bit later. After we have normalized it, we look at correlations, accumulate scores for each participant. Once we have done that, we validate once again by conducting interviews with the ones that are thriving, and we adjust the data after that so we can create the rankings. When we create some internal kind of ranking, it's quite fast actually for us to create a reference line. Uh, to create a reference line, our benchmark. So that's kind of the process that we do. And when we create this benchmark, we have this term that we can put different classes on. Depending of who you are, we put different classes. So we can look at you in a global perspective, in a sector perspective, as a young incubator, as a country perspective, put different classes on and look at you in a different angle so we can show you the strengths and weaknesses and areas for improvement. And this is kind of the process around it. Of course, I have heard that, my colleagues have heard that there are some concerns out there. So um, a lot of people ask us, so how do you guys make sure that the benchmark is valid and reliable? You know, as we have self-reported data, um, but when you have such a big sample base, you kind of see there's a deviation from the standards. Our system immediately sees if there's any cheaters out there or anything that is out of the ordinary. If it is, we adjust those outliers, but then we go back to you guys and say, hi, can you please explain how you thought here, and evaluate that again, and also ask you for support documents. That's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it, as you know, we have many variables to consider together with our research experts. We use universal variables, and then we use statistical methods to normalize that and then try to standardize it. So that's a lot of research terminology, and again, at some point imprecise about what happens in the magic box of the UBI research. And one of the things that you always seem concerned about, how can you compare an incubator in Europe, Latin America, with an incubator with a different ecosystem in Africa, for example? We use secondary sources of data to do that. So there's a lot of other indexes, a lot of weighting put on as a layer to our benchmark. So depending where you are, we put some weights on it to make it comparable. For example, let's say we have two exactly similar incubators, one from Lithuania and one from the Silicon Valley, and they both create one job each. So what we are saying, the one in Lithuania will be rated higher because the ecosystem there they are in is not developed as the Silicon Valley. There was just an example. Lastly, we do some weighting on KPIs, and how we do weighting, we do it through industry experts, you guys um, that we have consulted, and also our advisory board to make sure we have the right weighting on it. So in terms of those adjustments, that we were talking about, what categories are we adjusting? Well, it depends. If you are a business incubator or an accelerator, we adjust you and put some weights on it. Also, we put some adjustments depending on the size, which means we look at your incubator budget, we look at the number of employees and the number of clients and startups that you have. Also, look at how old you are, depending if you are young, mid-age, and or mature, we do some adjustments. Just so you know, we are gonna split this even more this year to have it up to 3 years as a segment. Then, of course, we adjust in terms of sector category. This year we had social innovation. We had a social innovation together with CISCO. It's kind of different areas that we do enabling this comparison, these different types of incubators. Uh, this is the UBI approach, and I wanted to be completely transparent here. This is how we interpret it, and how we, together with the researchers. If you guys and other institution have different ideas, we are more than welcome to discuss it and interpret it. We just want to be as transparent and show how you guys interpret this, and we hope you guys like this approach that we are taking. Um, after after all the benchmark, one of our outputs is the rankings. I actually like the benchmarking more than the rankings, but the rankings are quite good for many reasons because it puts the spotlight in this industry, and it gives some sense of work for Thrive for to make sure we are top ranked and make sure we have external validation. Um, One of the questions that I always ask business incubators, okay, guys, you are doing a good job. Every one of you says yes, of course. And then I do a follow up question. In comparison to what? Hey, are you doing a good job? This is one of the questions that I always ask business incubators. Um, okay, so you guys are doing a good job. Every one of you says, yes, of course. And then I do a follow up question in comparison to what? Of course, many of you become kind of mute because there isn't any kind of reference out there and it's quite difficult to compare. We try to do that for you, building that reference line, but also doing a ranking about it. When we do a ranking, it's quite important that we compare as much as possible apples to apples and pears to pears. We have found that university collaboration is quite important. We have created two types of ranking. It's called UBI, University Business Incubators, and University Associated Business Incubators, depending if you are managed or affiliated or non affiliation. We also found that there's another aspect to look at it. It's the university business accelerators. Many of them, they don't feel that they belong to an incubator program because of the time and the setup, and we decided to split that up as a new thing for this year, university business accelerators, but we only accept the ones that are managed by universities. Those are the rankings categories that we are going to announce later on. So basically, just to summarize what I've been saying, why the UBI Global Benchmark works. Well, it's a standardized framework. It's research-based. We have a lot of international experts, advisors, and it's the world large data set, and is now a well-tested benchmark process. And again, this is the third year we are doing it, and we are begin to make it better for each year, um, more accurate and quicker. So basically, what we are saying together with our experts, this is highly reliable and robust. Okay, let's look at the preliminary results. This is really fresh information. Um, um, okay, so probably a lot of you guys that I talked with, you recognize this slide. I've shown this slide to you last year. This has changed a little bit. What is the main difference? So, and this year we have more than 500 incubators from 73 countries applied to the benchmark, which we believe that is amazing. And this year we also split the regions a little bit. So instead of having the Middle East and North Africa apart of Africa on or APAC, we decided together with some collaborations to divide them and only have a MENA region as well. And in terms of South America, we talked with the Mexican guys, and again, I'm extremely impressed with what they do. When we spoke with them, they feel more connected to the South American ones in terms of culture and benchmark region, and we moved them from North America to South America. We actually changed this name to Latin America, so that's kind of the new updates in terms of geographical regions. So, of those 500, how does the sector spread look like? This year, we have quite an increase in terms of non-specialized. So 40% of you guys have an incubator program that can be cross sectors. 28% of you guys have the dominant sector as ICT, and then 3% biotech, 2% 2% clean tech, 4% life sciences, and 11% for social innovation. So yeah, let's look at the preliminary results. I'm really excited. This information is really fresh. We just got this a couple days ago. But what is the difference this year? Well, more than 500 incubators from 73 countries have applied to the benchmark, which we believe is amazing. And this year we also split the regions a little bit. Um, so instead of having the Middle East and North Africa as part of Africa, or so instead of having the Middle East as part of APAC and North Africa as part of Africa, we decided together with some collaborations to divide them and only have a MENA region as well. And in terms of South America, we talked with the Mexican guys, and again, I'm extremely impressed with what they do. When we spoke with them, they feel more connected to the South American ones in terms of culture and benchmark region. And we moved them from North America to South America. We actually changed this name to Latin America, so that's kind of the new updates in terms of geographical regions. So, of those 500, how does the sector spread look like? Well, and this year we have quite an increased number when it comes to non-specialized with 40%. Um, Followed by ICT, 28%. Social innovation, also thank, thankful for CISCO, we've got 11%, and others, we've got 12%. So we also actually look at you guys in terms of company startups, in what phase are they in. So 27% of the programs are either on the idea phase or early phase. And we've got then on the acceleration phase, 90% of you guys are on this phase. And we actually defined what we mean of these phases on our survey guide. And you could have seen them on our survey, but we are going to put them on our website as well. So a few So for some of you that have companies on the idea phase, I know that some of you call it like a pre-incubation, and some of you that have companies on the acceleration phase, which is between idea phase or early phase, but we don't define it like that. We define it acceleration phase here. So when you do the survey and when you look at the guides, make sure you have the right definition so we can profile you accordingly. Um, so I'm just gonna go further and start talking about more particular about the African region. So this year, so we have increased the number of programs from the African region. We have had 32 incubators that have applied for the benchmark this year. 20 of them they were benchmarked. So when we look at the sectors when it comes to the African region, um, we can clearly see that your main focus is so ICT, following then by non-specialized, and then we are seeing here like a very interesting number when it comes to social innovation, which is the third, the third biggest sector that you guys specialized in the African region. Um, Also, when it comes to the number of companies and the stage where the companies are, again, so you kind of follow the global tendency, and 32% of them they are either on the idea phase or early phase. When it comes to the university connection that your programs have with universities, so we see a big number here. So 50% of you guys actually, you don't have a formal affiliation with any university. So you work kind of close with them. You do, you have seminars, you have programs with them, but you're not necessarily incubator, university business incubator. But this is interesting for us as well. Because we believe that there's a lot that we can do in this aspect. Uh, so the trends that we have found this year, and it's quite interesting it's quite interesting when it comes to the business incubation, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be physically there. A lot of you guys have virtually programs. You have startups that are enrolled over the cloud. The services that you guys provide can be done within that. And we truly believe that this is a new thing that has come up, and um, for each year we have seen this number increase. I really like that, and later on when we do our publications we are going to show historical data, how it has evolved over the years. Uh, another thing that is a very interesting aspect is where are the incubators located. Many of these graphs, so one of the interesting aspects is where are the incubators located. So we have found out, so in case of the African region, so 50% of the incubators are located in urban areas, so big cities with high density population areas. Following that by semi-urban, 38%, and then 12% in rural areas. So again, why is this important? Because depending where you are located, we do those kind of adjustments. While semi-urban has an ecosystem already, the rural is more difficult to gather startups, and we try to weigh that up as well. Uh, One thing always interesting, for-profit versus non-profit. Well, it's clearly on the African region. So all the incubators that we have benchmarked, they are non-profit incubators. And again, why? What does this mean? Why is this important? So yeah, again, so we want to learn from this, and we want to learn what is the best practice out there. Um, Always interesting, for profit versus non-profit. Um, Clearly, in the African region, so all the incubators that we have benchmarked, they are non-profit incubators. And with that mean that we can learn from that and what is the best practice out there. Of course, there's regulations out there, and you have an agreement with your government, or the way is based off, but we want to highlight best practices here. That's why we have asked this question. Um, so, how old are you guys? So, we have seen that there's a lot of incubators that have started or been funded in the last 4 or 5 years. Um, so, if you see after around the year when the financial crisis happened, uh, we have seen quite a lot of incubators being created. Also, if we look 12 years ago, when 10, 12 years ago, when the IT boom started, um, that's really interesting to see this happening as well in the African region. So, and when we actually look across all sectors globally, we have found out that 16 and a half months are the average of your incubation programs. One other thing that we ask is the number of full-time employees. I have talked with a lot of programs in the African region, and one thing that I hear over and over is a lot of you guys, a lot of the programs that you have is very focused on developing the local economy and creating jobs. Um, and this is quite interesting when we look at these numbers in the African region. That so most of your incubators either has six or more employees. We have like 39% of your incubation programs has between 6 and 10 employees. And while we have 23% of your programs actually has more than 20 full-time employees at your incubation program. Again, so why is this question important? Again, to make sure that we have the right profile of you, and also to see how many client startups that you can manage and the correlation between the number of employees and the budget that you have. Um, so when it comes to the number of client startups, um, again, you have a very interesting numbers, and I've heard from a lot of you guys. You take a lot of programs and you try to do a really great job to help them out. Um, and again, so 35% actually of the incubation programs in the African region has between 11 and 20 startup companies. While 16% of the programs has more than actually 40 programs enrolled. When it comes to the operational budget, again, so this is a topic that I've talked a lot with you guys. We have discussed a lot about this. Some of your incubation programs, you have said that the money is not an issue, but rather than teaching your startup companies. And we also know that it doesn't take that much money to run a program, but again, we need to look in terms of companies that you can help. Uh, so, uh, so actually, in your case, so 37% of your incubation program has a budget between $50,000 to $200,000, and we have a lot of programs as well. So that has a budget between $200,000 and $800,000. Um, so what does this mean? It means that you are doing an amazing job. Um, you have a lot of volunteers that is trying to help you. So we're trying to do is make a correlation of the input equivalent to the output, and what is the best practice, and that is what we will show you later on. Just so you know, we have actually our internal system to do that, but during the summer, UBI will do some kind of interactive web tool where you guys will have the chance to access the data and do your own analysis and do your own filtering and use it for your own purpose. Um, we are trying to build a dashboard of some sort. It's kind of the next step for us. We don't want to decide what's interesting. We want you to decide what is interesting for you, and also opportunities out there. Okay, so I'm just actually gonna go straight ahead and talk about the benefits of doing a benchmark, and what this data means and what you guys will get. So we have promised all participants is that when you participate on the UBI benchmark, you'll have an opportunity to get recognized. And that recognition, as you may know, it comes in many ways. It could be through our social media channels, or through our rankings, our publications, or all the above. We want to give you a platform to highlight yourself, but we also believe in best practices from the top performing ones. So if you are top performing, we are going to do our best to show why you are, so you can share your experience with others. We also gonna give you guys a visualized designed scorecard infographic. It's kind of a snapshot that we are taking, but we are taking that picture to our dashboard, so you can see and create your own infographic and print it out and show to your board of directors, or use it on social media or all the other channels that you'd like to use. We also will give you our executive summary of our annual report, and we want to book a 30-minute video presentation to show your results, how you have performed, where are your areas for development, and which ones of you will get, and every one of you, I would say, will get a certificate from us stating that you have been through this process. What does it mean? What have you been benchmarked against? So within the next 3 weeks from now, you should be receiving this on your regular mailbox. So, of course, we ask your programs, why have you been doing this? What is the value? Well, many of you have said we use this benchmark for funding opportunity. It gives us arguments to receive funding from their stakeholders, no matter if they are an high, low, or medium performance incubator, because we highlight so you get those arguments to improve your weakness or keep your strengths. And this is important to know that we give you some material for you to use and increase the value that you guys provide. Of course, the visibility and credibility, it's a key part. This is a no-brainer. If you are a top performing or among the best one, it's a great platform to show your program, not only in your country, but also in your region or on a global scale. The consumable report, as you know, we do a lot of publications and white papers and stuff, and we want to share that with you as much as possible for you to understand the market and have more arguments to your board of directors, your university, or other stakeholders. But the last thing, if you think about it, when we are doing this process, we are giving you a strategic and monitoring tool. We are giving a list of all these KPIs that you should be looking at. Here are some insights that you can use to benchmark yourself so you can develop and become better. And we are going to try with partners to give you more tools to make it easier for you as well. Well, in terms of recognition, there's a lot of news out there that talks about UBI benchmark, rankings, inputs, outputs, continuously signing agreements with media partners to show what you guys are doing. And this year, we will do it in different regions to highlight the work you have been doing all over the world. Um, but one of the questions that we always get is, and it's great. And people say, okay, this is great what you're doing. It's for free, but how do you make money? What is your business model? What do you do with all of our data? Well, let me start with the data. Everything you do with all our with Let me start with the data. Everything you give us is confidential. We don't give away any data, your name to anybody. We get requests from other incubators saying that they would like to be benchmarked against a particular incubator. But we ask the incubator managers if they would like to share the data and ask approval to do so before. The data is shown to the market or the industry by aggregated results, and we create a pool of a minimum 5 incubators and create an average on them. And that's how we show your data. It's completely confidential. Um, in terms of business model, as you saw earlier, we work with the ecosystem, we work with corporations, government. Of course, we charge a consultancy fee to them. Last year, probably some of you know already this, but last year we have created the scorecard packages, but we listened to you and the feedback you gave us, and what you told us is that you like our products, but what you really would like to is to meet each other and learn from each other and improving this network side of on the incubation ecosystem. Um, but also, of course, getting the benchmark. Um, So a lot of people has request, why can't we be members? Having a membership, it's easier to be part of, and we talked about it internally and came up with a concept. Let's take this next step together. We are ready, so we have created different memberships: the standard, silver, and the gold membership. The standard membership, it is and always be for free. From now on, for you to do the UBI global benchmark, you have to become a member and you have to go through an application process. And everyone that has been participating this year has already gone through that, so you are automatically a standard member. Um, what what does it mean to becoming a silver member or a gold member? We will highlight that on our website. All the information will be available very soon. So you can go into our website www.eubi-global.com and check for it on our website. Um, just so you know, that together with these memberships, we are going to do a lot of events co-hosting, and those will be for gold and the silver members exclusively. Okay, I only have a couple of slides left, but I just want to talk about, so what is the next steps? Well, you have started this journey around here, around February, January, with the benchmark. So the benchmark started officially in March and ended a couple of weeks ago. So we are going to connect with all of you starting very soon. So from actually May 26 to June 30, we are going to connect with you all again to show a video presentation. Um, Meanwhile that we are doing that, we are also to conduct interviews, and that will be with top performing incubators, and that will be done in 2 slots. If you are a top performing business incubator, you'll be notified by us, and we want to know a little more about you, so we can show the world the work that you have been doing. Then during August and September, we'll be delivering a lot of products to you guys about the benchmark, our publications, the white papers. You are gonna get you're going to get a lot of great stuff. And then in October, it's time to announce to the world the best performing programs together with strategic partners. And this is quite important to know. If you are a top performing incubator, you'll be notified minimum 8 weeks ahead. So 8 weeks ahead, you'll know if you'll be awarded, and we'll get back to you to make sure you have this information. But first, the releases will be in October, and this year we will release the regions first, and then in the end, we will release the global one. So we kind of make it more proper this year. So I'm just actually gonna go back to the UBI awards. We actually collaborate with some partners, and we have just closed some of the key dates. For example, you are going to be in Turin, in Italy, in partnership with PNIQ and I3P, and that would be October 26 and 27. And then in October 14, we'll be in Saudi Arabia together with our partner COST, Entrepreneurship Center, and to release and have a networking event of the MENA rankings. The North American one will be in Canada, in Toronto, and that would be in November 2nd and November 3rd. Um, so, of course, if you are a member of the UBI network or part of these regions, you'll have an invitation to be part of these events. And for the South America, we are going to release it on October 1st and 2nd, and that would be in Colombia, in Bogota, together with EAN Universidad and The world rankings will be in November, and the place will going to be decided. Um, so just so you know, we haven't found it yet the great partner for the release in Africa and the APAC to co-host an event. Hopefully, we can fix an event in these two regions, and also to make sure as well that you guys don't have to travel that much and get kind of a regional impact as well. Um, so as I said before, so we're gonna have this 30-minute presentation where we're gonna be showing your results. In order for you uh, to start, so in order for us actually to start showing your results, you can go to this website, www.ubi-global.com/schedule, and you can pick one of my colleagues to be able then to show your presentation. This is it. This is what we had prepared for today. I know that this was a lot of information. I'm open for all the questions that you might have, but mostly I just want to say thanks a lot for you guys that you take the time to hear out the webinar and being part of the webinar. I really hope that this was useful. And again, thanks a lot.